take this opportunity first and foremost to welcome all of you to the launch of the book written by my boss, Major Marsden Madoka. Ladies and gentlemen, Major Marsden Madoka has truly lived up to the title of his memoir, At the Ready. Throughout his life, he has always been ready to serve, ready to lead, and ready to give of himself for his country and this nation. His story reminds us that patriotism is not about words. It is about action, about the choices we make, and about the service we give each other every day, every time, and to humanity. When we read At the Ready, him in the office of the president, anything good you see in me, attribute it to Marsden. I know he has said some very kind words about me. He has said many things about what his understanding of the relationship that we had. But I must confess that I had a really wonderful relationship with Marsden when I served under him as his assistant minister at the office of the president. And I didn't get to know much about before. But he has said several things about my relationship with the former president, President Moi. He has said some things about lunch. And he has said some things about ambition. I hope that young Kenyans in politics, in business, and in the civil society will turn to At the Ready, not only as a historical record, but also as a guidebook for principled leadership. Through his story, Major Madoka teaches lessons that will last beyond his lifetime. Lessons about duty, perseverance, and the unshakable faith in the promise of Kenya. Let us thank him deeply for giving us more than a personal memoir. Through At the Ready, he has preserved a part of our nation's history. He has ensured that future generations will understand where we came from and the sacrifices that built the Kenya we hold dear today. Before I make my remarks in conclusion, allow me to say a few things, because these are moments that will never come back. We will not have another occasion like this for somebody with the stature of Marsden Madoka to speak about his perspective of where Kenya came from, what he thinks worked for us, what he thinks could have been made better. And he has given us a perspective that comes from the heart of how government evolved in Kenya. I am privileged that he has also said a few things about me. And let me just reiterate that he has said a few things about when I first was elected as a member of parliament, I was not in very good books with the KANU government at that time, although I was a KANU member of parliament. And that is the reason why Madoka says I was very outspoken. And let me give a perspective, Marsden, and I tried to explain to you that time that when I did not decide, actually, I don't know, I did not decide that I was going to run. But one thing led to another, and then I found myself running for a member of parliament. And of course, KANU was the dominant party, and President Moi was a very strong leader. And so when I decided to run, I wasn't the favorite for the KANU party. There were senior people, there were people whose brands were known, and I was really the underdog, you know, and people didn't know me. We didn't have a history of any leadership in our family. And the closest, in fact, I remember during the campaign, for people to understand who I was, I had to make reference to one of our neighbors. I said, oh, you know that Mzee Paul Boit, he was formerly chairman of the county council in Uasin Gishu, and he was a fairly wealthy person. So I used to say, I am a neighbor of Paul Boit. That is the closest I came to in terms of brand. And so the reason why I was fairly outspoken initially was because I felt I hadn't been treated well by both KANU and the leader of KANU then, the former President Moi, who later became a very good friend of mine after he understood me. So, when I ran in the KANU elections, the KANU machine was really against me. And Moi himself came to Eldoret and told people, please, elect people who are known. And he mentioned the name of our former member of parliament. He was called Saina. He mentioned the name of another very wealthy and known person called Chesire. And he said, I understand there are some characters running around here, you know, and we don't know them. So be very careful. So, and I was in the crowd there, you know, okay. So, but it didn't deter me. I ran, and finally I defeated these big people in the KANU nominations. So then we were all KANU now nominees. Then President Moi came to Eldoret for the presidential rally. Now I have been nominated. We were 3 people nominated in Uasin Gishu. So then President Moi is there and he says, okay. He, of course, campaigned, asked for his votes, and then he said, okay, and there are people who have been elected here, members of parliament. In fact, one of the members of parliament, one of the 3, had been elected unopposed. He was called Mr. Tarar. So he said, thank you very much. You have elected Mr. Tarar unopposed. And then there was another teacher there. He had also been nominated. And then myself. And so when it came to me, he said, then there is this other one who, I don't know his parents. And, but anyway, he has been, because he has been nominated as a member of KANU, please vote for him. So that was the problem. That Marsden. And I tried to explain to you that time. I felt it was very unfair that not having a background became a big problem to my election. And then moving on to the lunch. again, Marsden Madoka has talked about this lunch business. So subsequently, of course, when I had been elected and I was, and I used to speak a lot, you know. I think I have reduced nowadays. And of course, Moi started to see, oh, this young man is a bit noisy, but he speaks sense, or so he thought. So slowly, he said, he asked Bishop Yego then, and another gentleman called Hosea Kiplagat. So he told them, this young man, I understand he's a member of our church, the IC church, okay. But why is he making noise? Why don't you look for him? So Bishop Yego came and met me, and then he told me, now, you know, and Bishop Yego is somebody I really have a lot of respect for, because when I wanted to get married, I went to look for him to come and preside over my wedding, because I had a lot of regard for him. So he came and told me, now you have been elected. Moi is like your father. And you are also a Christian. So in all this noise you're making, where is your Christianity? And where is your regard for this old man as your father? So they cornered me, and I had to tone down. And of course, there was Marsden, who also gave me a few lectures. And so finally, I made friends with President Moi. He came to understand that I wasn't quite a very useless person or noisy, you know. And progressively, then he then appointed me to be an assistant minister. I think a year and a half into my being a member of parliament. And so I joined Marsden. And when I then joined Moi, he became very fond of me, so he gave me something that many people did not have. It's only people like Amos Wako and senior people, including my minister. There used to be something called a hotline those days. This hotline thing was a telephone there that did not have secretaries. It was the president's telephone. He used to use it to call people directly himself. So if that phone rang, you know it was either the president on the line or one of the senior people. So I became the only assistant minister then with a hotline. So the president would pick up the phone, okay, where are you? Come and do this, this, this. So, so a few times, it was not always Marsden, a few times I came for lunch here. But you see, the problem that Marsden has not said is that he used not to go for lunch. You see? And he tried to persuade me to join into the group of people not going for lunch. So I remember during lunchtime, he would shut his door and take a nap in his office. True, Marsden? Yes. Just imagine now somebody telling you, during lunchtime, we take a nap to learn. So So, and he took a lot of offense when I took so much time on this lunch business, which he didn't have business with. So, but you admit, Marsden, I answered all the questions. When I didn't go for this lunch, I answered all the questions well, very well. And we did very well then as a pack, myself working under Marsden. And finally, he has mentioned something about ambition, that I was a fairly ambitious person, which is true. I tried to do whatever I set my hands on to do. I tried to do it well, and to do it with passion, and to do it with commitment. And I have no regrets whatsoever in being ambitious and having a passion for what I do, because I have come across many leaders, many members of parliament, many governors, people who are elected. And once they are elected, they behave as if they were forced into these offices. They are very reluctant. They lose interest. They don't have interest in what they are doing. They have no passion for what they are doing. And they end up doing a very poor job of the very heavy responsibilities that come with leadership. You find there are people who are very reluctant leaders. They are there. They do not want to engage with the stuff they are supposed to do. They become big people, bigger than the jobs that they have applied for. And they just want to own the title and the position without doing what is expected of them. And that is what Marsden has written in his book. It's not about position, it's not about title. It's about what gets done. Many a times I am accused of micromanaging stuff. But you see, when you have reluctant people whose mentality it is, tumeona serikali nyingi, we've been here, we've seen many ministers, we've seen many presidents, because it is the business as usual stuff. It is the roll of the mill, normal stuff. And that is the reason why I have taken it upon myself in the last 3 years to raise the ambition of our country. For far too long, Marsden, we have worked with the usual. We have made peace with mediocrity. We have, our standard has been the average. And somebody wrote a book and said, the enemy of the average. It makes you think you are not too bad, but it limits your ambition to do anything better. So, that ambition, my boss, Marsden, is what is driving me in this country. Yes, we cannot continue to make peace with mediocrity. We cannot operate with the average. We cannot be about the usual and the normal. We have to raise our ambition. We have to raise the bar and our standard. And it has to move from the ordinary to the extraordinary. That is driving all the things we are doing. You know very well, my predecessors, President Moi was great with education. Mwai Kibaki rolled our country into something called free primary education and made a huge contribution to getting everybody into school. Many thought free primary education was not a reality. It became a reality under President Kibaki. My good friend Uhuru Kenyatta told us we must do 100% transition. There were too many kids, slipping away after primary school, many dropping after secondary school. He encouraged us to do 100% transition. And it became my responsibility then to make meaning of all that. 100% free primary brought many kids into school. 100% transition made sure there were many children in the subsequent classes. And we ran into a very big problem on classrooms, teachers, and money to teach. And that is what has occupied me for the last 3 years. We have built an additional 23,000 classrooms to take care of both free primary and 100% transition. By January, we will have hired 100,000 teachers, again, to take care of the same problem. And today, we have a student-centered model that puts more money into our TVETs and our universities, again, to make sure that no child is left behind. We're basically doing what is necessary for us to develop the human capital that is going to support the transformation of our country. We're raising our ambition in the transformation of our agriculture. In the last 3 years, we have done 3 fundamental things. Number one, we have registered all our farmers because information, data, is central to any successful planning. Registered all our farmers. We now have a digital register of 7.1 million farmers. Tea farmers, coffee farmers, sugarcane farmers, maize farmers, wheat farmers, our livestock keepers. Number two, we have dealt firmly with brokers and cartels and characters who are undermining our agricultural productivity. Number three, we have brought government subsidy into the equation, not to subsidize consumption, but to subsidize production. That's why we are subsidizing our fertilizer, we are subsidizing seeds, we are putting more money into the milk sector, public resources. And today, I can confidently say that we have laid a good base. Our tea farmers are producing more, making more money. Our coffee farmers are producing more. Our coffee prices have improved significantly, from about 60 shillings a kilo to almost 120 shillings a kilo. Our wheat farmers are making more money. Our maize farmers, in fact, maize is the place we have made the biggest impact. We've increased our production of maize from an average of 40 million every year to 64 million last year, and by God's grace to 75 million this year. And we are stabilizing that space. We're simply doing what we must. And I can say the same thing with our health. For a long time, health was a privilege for those who have jobs and those who can afford. We're now transitioning that because the Constitution of Kenya tells us health is not a privilege for those who can afford. It is a right for every citizen. And that is why from 7 million registered people under NHIF, we now have 26.5 million people registered in SHA. And we are making progress. In essence, what I'm saying is that we have operated for far too long with the average and the usual and the ordinary. It is time for us to up our game. to raise our ambition. And we are beginning to have a conversation as a country. In this place where you are sitting, in the last 2 months, I have sat with all the members of parliament and senators in this place, one by one, to explain to them why Kenya is a third world country by mistake, and by mistake of us, the leaders. There is absolutely no reason why Kenya today is a third world country. It is us, the leaders, who are to answer. We are the people responsible for our country being a third world country today. Because, just imagine, I have had engagement with 2 heads of state who were similar to us 60 years ago, at a personal level. I asked the president of Singapore to come and see me. He came here in 2023. I have visited the president of South Korea 3 times in my presidency. Just because Singapore and South Korea were exactly like Kenya 60 years ago. Today, they are in the first world, we are in the third world. Singapore, for example, was exactly, and you have been following pictures, Singapore was exactly like Kibera, a slum, 60 years ago. Today in Singapore, 97% of their people are home owners. In Kenya, 7 million people live in slums, and home ownership is limited to 30,000, 40,000 mortgages every year. Korea, South Korea, if you look at the GDP per capita of South Korea, in 1963, it was $79, exactly like Kenya. GDP per capita for Kenya in 1963 was $80. Today, GDP, and by the way, South Korea is an agricultural country like Kenya. We are the same in everything. Their education was like ours. Their economy was our size. Their people, population, almost the same. But today, South Korea is in the first world with a GDP per capita 20 times that of Kenya. In fact, they lend us the money, 80 billion shillings. South Korea lend us to do Konza City. Just imagine. The difference between us and them? Leadership. It's not money, it's not resources, it's not all those, it's just leadership. And that is why I've taken time over the last 2 months to speak to leaders, members of parliament, senators. I brought here governors, because we have an opportunity of a lifetime to get Kenya out of this third world place and make it a first world country in our lifetime. It will not take us so long. It will take us between 20 and 30 years, and Kenya will be a first world country if we do the right things. Marsden, you are right about ambition. That is what it is. So, let me finalize. I do not want to make this longer than it is. I just found a good man who worked with me, and he inspired me to say some things. Today, as we have this ceremony, last Friday, I had a big meeting here with our principal secretaries, because we're trying to resolve the issue of young people, the youth of our nation. And by the way, you know, what Marsden was saying here, that the limits are being pushed. by our young people. It is correct, you know, the restlessness of our young people, the impatience of the young people in Kenya is because for far too long, we are operating around the average, you know, the normal, this roll-of-the-mill stuff. And yet, we have tremendous potential. So, they are not entirely wrong. They are pushing the limits. And that is why we need to up our game. Yeah? And so, it's the reason why we have a four-pronged plan on how we're going to create opportunities. These young people are looking for opportunities. They are looking for opportunities to work. They are looking for opportunities to do business. They are looking for opportunities to learn, to grow, to, you know, to be part of the drive that we have as a nation. And it is because it is in the DNA of Kenya not to be average, but to be excellent. That's our DNA. And that's why you see people are restless, people are impatient. Because that's what we are made of. We are not made to participate. We are made to win. You know, we are not made to be part of what, you know, the roll of the mill. We are made to excel. So, and I take it very positively when I see the push, when people push me, you know, as by God's grace, I'm the leader of this nation today. And it is my responsibility. You know, when I get pushed, it is because I am the leader. Who else was supposed to be pushed? You know? Sinimimi. Yeah, so it is the correct thing. So, and I will also push the limits for our nation because we can do it. So as I talk to you today, we had a meeting with the principal secretaries here. Today across Kenya, in every county, we are having a conversation about youth entrepreneurship. Working with the World Bank, we have raised 5 billion shillings to give 100,000 young people in Kenya money to scale up their businesses, and we are in the process of identifying them. I have asked counties, county governments, members of parliament, MCAs, chiefs, assistant chiefs to work with us. The target is to have 1 million young people benefit. We're starting with 100,000. By the end of this month, we will be releasing, we'll begin the process of releasing the 5 billion shillings to make sure that in every ward in Kenya, we identify 70 young people between the age of 18 and 29 who are doing business so that we can give them business support grants. We're also looking for 90,000 other young people who have no formal training so that we can take them through formal training, pay for their stipend, make sure that we support them to gain skills and competencies, working with with our TVETs. We are also identifying close to 20 or 30,000 others who will go through what we call recognition of prior learning so that we can certify them. Many of them are working in our affordable housing programs and all the other programs. And we want to identify another almost 700,000 young people to support them to be part of the AGBO process, government procurement. We have a lot of government procurement that's going on, and young people are not participating because of many roadblocks. So we want to prepare them so that the budget we have a huge budget of procurement, close to 200 billion, that is supposed to be reserved for young people, people with disability, and women. But that is not, we're not uptaking that. They're not participating, and we want to see how we can improve their skills. So that exercise is going on across Kenya today, and allow me, Marsden, to use this launch of yours to ask members of parliament, members of county assemblies, our Ngao officers from chiefs and assistants to participate with us as we focus on how to mainstream the participation of the young people in our nation, rally their energy, rally their talents into growing our country. Others will be participating in our housing program, markets program, hostels program. Others are participating in our export of labor or labor mobility program. Others are participating in our digital jobs program. Others will participate in what I've just said as we try and create a broader base of opportunities for the young people of Kenya to contribute their talent, their energy, their expertise, their knowledge in driving the economy of our country and in driving the progress and development of Kenya. As we celebrate this remarkable man, Marsden Madoka, let us also take to heart the spirit of his title. Let each one of us, in our own way, strive to be at the ready. Ready to serve, ready to lead, and ready to build a better Kenya for all of us. I thank you, and God bless you.
Another round of applause for His Excellency. And as we do that, allow me now to invite the author, the man of the day, to come and take a seat right here as he does a symbolic signing of a copy of At the Ready. Let's take our seats, please. Kindly, let's take our seats. And I'll request that, Your Excellency, you flank him together with Miss Kenya 1963 to also come and flank him as he appends his signature on this wonderful launch day of this particular book. And a round of applause as he appends that signature. Wonderful, wonderful. And isn't it a wonderful story to hear that he met Miss Kenya at State House? He has also come with Grace, his sister, at State House. So who knows? Now that he mentioned that she's also single. State House seems to be a powerful place for powerful connections. After signing of the book, we'll request that then he will present it to His Excellency, after which His Excellency will also sign 5 copies